Okay, welcome back, everybody. Today, well, last time I thought we would, last week we talked about, or last session, we talked about cubes from prime versus prime situation, and introduced the three factor model that, as far as I know, was invented by David Presser. In any case, he taught it to me. And then I had a tournament in Boston last week where I came across of a couple of positions which I, despite having taught that, completely missed. So I thought it'd be worthwhile going over because there's good reasons I missed it, and I thought it would be good to point out. So, so here's one, the first one that I missed. And so what white is on the bar, and is this a double pass, double take? And how would you evaluate it? And I will give you a hint. The wrong answer is, oh my God, I'm on the bar against a 5-point board. Don't even think about cube, which is what I did.
You're hinting then it's either a pass or too good to double. I'd double and drop.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it is a double and drop. But so, yeah, which I completely missed it because I didn't recognize that this is a prime versus prime. I thought I didn't get past the fact that I'm on the bar against a 5-point board. Yeah, but why? Because the three-factor model that I introduced last week makes it pretty clear. And the key here is to be able to pull that out of the toolbox at this point in time and recognize that we're talking about a prime versus prime here. So I mean, for those of you who don't remember, the three-factor model is we're looking at three things, the three factors, and they are the strength of the prime is one. Two is how many combination of, okay, how many checkers are behind the prime and are they at the edge of the prime? And the third is timing. Whose prime is going to hold up better? And so let's go through these things. So we've got, so what's the status of the prime? How strong is the prime that we each have?
White's prime.
White's is clearly better.
It is white. Now, why is that?
They've got a broken 6 prime, basically. I mean, it's only 5 prime, but because they have the 7 point, it's those checkers are stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but okay, Larry, I don't think you were here for the thing, but in terms of breaking it out, we each of us have a 5 prime, a broken 5 prime. Now, white's is probably a little better because once you get into the 4-point, it's pretty easy to get out past the prime, and so black has to get a 3 and then face a 3 prime. So white's prime is a little bit better from that, and white's broken 5 prime is better than black's broken 5 prime. However, that's true, but not a very significant issue. So I would say, looking at this now, that the primes are about equal. White's got a slight advantage, but it's not not enough to push anything around. But so let's go to the other thing now. Number of checkers behind the prime, and are they at their edge? Okay, so that's clear. White has 1 checker behind the prime and black has 2. So that's obviously a big advantage for white. And the thing also that it's easy to forget is that when you're on the bar facing this, you are facing a prime essentially. Because you've got to come in and get past it. So that that is a prime. I sort of assumed that, but over the board, I wasn't thinking of that. That didn't register with me. So from that perspective, oh, and then, both are at the edge of the prime, essentially. So anyway, from that perspective, so white has a big advantage there in having only one checker back and instead of two. So there's a big advantage there. Now timing. And here's the key factor. Who has the better timing?
White.
White.
Yes, white. And is it a little bit better, or is this kind of overwhelmingly better?
It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Why is that, Michael? I think we have talked to that last time, but this is really,
It almost doesn't matter what white rolls, because if black doesn't roll a 3, they're going to break their board. And it's only going to get worse and worse for black. But if white gets in, fine, he's got plenty of moves to make. But if you don't, as long as black doesn't get a 3, that board's going to go quick, and then it's going to be an overwhelming edge. So
yeah, exactly. When you're on the bar, you have lots of timing against a prime, because you can't break your board. You can't break your own prime until you come in. And as in this case, once you come in, it's kind of a market loser. And it's very easy to get over. So we have a big advantage in single checker versus two, and a very strong advantage in the timing of that. And so all that together makes this a double and a pass.
And Brown's gonna break his board immediately.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, that's part of the timing. The timing is, well, how long before you break your board? And black, again, unless black comes in with a 3 something, black is going to break the board. And actually, it's not just a 3 something; it's got to be a 3-4 or better, because double 3s is no good. Or it's better than nothing, but it breaks the board. And 3-4, 3-5. I'm sorry, 3-1, 3-2 help, but you still break the board to some extent or another. Okay, so in any case, I missed that one. And then one roll, two. So I danced, and my opponent got a 3-5. I danced again, and then my opponent doubled. Now, what is this from white's perspective? And this is, let's see, should be black doubling here. Yeah, so normally we're looking at it the other way, but since this is a continuation of the earlier game. Black is on roll, and should black double? And if black does double, is a take or a pass?
I think it's completely flipped now. I think it's a double pass,
Yeah,
because now all your advantages are gone. It's one checker to 1, and black's not going to have to break his board. Plus, there's a good chance they're going to pick up 2 more blots. It's amazing how that one roll, that must have been a huge joker.
yeah,
I agree. I think it's a double and a pass.
pass. Yeah. Anyone think it's a take?
Gonna be close.
Think it's close? Well, let's look at it again so the 3-factor model. Now we've got the primes are still basically the same. Now now each has one checker behind the prime. The timing, black has picked up timing. He had no timing before. Now he's got timing, some timing. But white still has the advantage in timing. And of course the other factor here, I might point out, it's not really part of the model, but it's obviously something you have to consider, is black can pick up some extra checkers. And so we now are looking at gammons, possible gammons and things like that. But if you look at it from the three-factor model, you know, board is the prime value of the prime is more or less the same. Each has one checker behind. The timing, white actually has a little bit of advantage, I would say, for timing. But black now has some timing and also the possibility of picking up checkers. So what I did was immediately drop it without thinking anymore, because I saw the two blots and said, that's enough, I'm done. And it's a big take. It's, you know, this isn't close. It was a 0.3 error to not take this.
Why?
Well, because black still has to get past this prime. So black has one checker to get past the prime, white has one checker to get past the prime. And that's the primary, that's the fundamental factor. Now black has some, and white, you know, white is not going to break his prime. Whereas black might still break the prime. Now, the reason it's a double, now from that perspective alone, it would be, you know, should be a no double. I suspect if we took out the blots and say put them here, that this is not a double, yeah. So, you know, this is a double because of the blots. But, you know, so, you know, but the prime but the three-factor model puts them basically equal. And where black has the advantage is the blots that he can pick up. So that, you know, that was, you know, that's, you know, anyway, I missed that completely. I just saw the blots and dropped it. But, you know, the three-factor model says, hey, wait a minute, it's still basically an even game, you know, other than the blots. And even the blots don't, you know, this black needs a 3 and something and a 4 or better to get out of that, and he needs to do that before he breaks his board. So it's a surprising, was surprising to me, but when you think about it, you know, from the three-factor model perspective, that, you know, it does make sense. Okay, one more position that I came across. And I didn't, luckily this one wasn't my problem, but my opponent was my opponent's problem. So question here is this a double? And if it's a double, is it a take or a pass?
So white on roll.
White's on roll. I guess this is a redouble. I don't think it matters whether it's a redouble or not, but
I wouldn't double for white.
yeah. Okay. Using the three-factor model now, what do we see?
Well,
Okay.
I would totally double, Marie.
That's yeah, so now so look at the three-factor model. Okay, we see who's got the better prime. Okay, well, white has the better prime. It's a 5 prime versus a broken 4 prime. So black needs a 6 to get out. White needs a 4 or a 6 to get out. So from that perspective, white has a big advantage. That's 1. 2, check number of checkers behind the prime. Well, white has 2, black only has 1. So black has the advantage there. He only needs 1 6. Black can get a 4 or 6, but he needs 2 of them. So you know, you got 1 favoring white, 1 favoring black. Third factor, who's got timing? You know, the answer to that is no one has timing here. You're either going to come out or break your prime, pretty much. I suppose you could say that white has timing here, and that white can roll a 2 or a 7. to hit, and so that may give him more timing, but not really. And there, obviously, if you hit loose, you're giving up return shots and that sort of thing. So the answer here is that, okay, from the three-factor model, no one has advantage in timing. White has advantage in the prime, but black has the advantage in the number of checkers behind the prime. That's, 1 versus 1, and that's a no double. In this case, no redouble. Now white has the advantage, again, because of the 2. If he rolls a 4 or 6, then he has timing, and then he'll have equal number of checkers. But and he could also roll a 2 or something like that to give him a little more timing. But it's not enough for a double. And it's an easy take.
Gary, I'm sorry, but I don't understand it. I mean, what white has a 20 out of 36 chance of getting out, and he has a terrible market loser here. The minute he gets out, he's lost his market.
Yeah.
I guess I really don't get it. And white has
Well, okay, it's four. He's got 4s or 6s to
right.
come out. So yeah, he's got that. But 4s or 6s, there, 20 rolls that
Right.
have a 4 or 6. You've got 18 rolls that basically break your board.
No, but he can always come in with his 8 on the 8 point, so he's not going to break his board. He'll come in on his 8 point if he doesn't get a 4 or a 6.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So he's got
So
that.
yeah, okay. So I should say, yeah. So white does have some advantage in timing.
Yeah, so I really don't get it. I'm surprised.
Well, so that that leaves but white has to roll 2 4s and 2 6s. Either 2 4s, a 4 and a 6, or 2 6s before he can come out. So even when white comes out, black only needs to roll a 6. And if black rolls the 6, black is up in the race by 22 pips.
Okay.
Black is overwhelmingly favored. So even if white comes out right away,
Right.
let's look at that. If white had come out, I don't know what black did, but let's change that. It's still not a double, not a redouble. Because again, you're looking at a black, the white has a small advantage, has some advantage on the prime, but it's not, it's not overwhelming. And now he has better timing.
Well,
But they still both have 1 checker behind the prime.
okay. Well,
Yeah, I mean, these are tough ones, and you have to really sift through them, and these they're not always unambiguous. But you do have to take your time and think through them and go through the evaluation. And the previous 2 examples, I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it when I should have. And in this one, if you do go through the 3 factors, they're just not enough.
In general, do you think the 3 factors are of equal importance? Or I'm just generally speaking. What seems to stop white doubling here is that he or she's got an extra checker back.
Yeah, well, and that's it basically, because he's got a pretty good advantage in all the other categories. But that's important because there are a lot of pretty bad rolls here.
but Gary, I mean, I hear it and I can see it, and obviously came to the wrong conclusion, and as usual, Antoinette Marie came to the right conclusion. But if I look at the factors, white has the stronger prime. black has more checkers in front, so black has more checkers behind white, so that's another factor. And then white
Well,
has,
no, the fact, okay, that the factor, the question is how many checkers are behind the prime?
yeah.
So black has one checker behind the prime,
Oh,
and it's also at the edge. They're both at the edge, so that doesn't matter, but sometimes they're not, so that would matter. But white has the two checkers back. And so that's, that's a big enough deal to prevent us from being a double. If white had the one, even this is not a redouble.
and
I
then
would be very tempted, but this is close. I would be very tempted to redouble this. Wonder if it's the redouble that makes it.
one thing that you don't list as a factor, Gary, that would seem to me to be a factor is how many checkers does your opponent have behind your prime?
No, that is a factor.
Yeah.
That is one of the factors. So, and yeah, and in this case, black has one. Well, in this case, black has one and white has one.
No, I mean, the black has all the checkers on the 23 and 24 point buried behind the prime. I would have thought that's the factor, but it doesn't seem that.
Well, that comes into timing,
Okay,
and that black doesn't have much timing, and if black doesn't come out right away, he's going to probably have to break, his 8 point.
Okay.
And as Mike pointed out, white has a little bit better timing because, okay, this 8 point is not part of the prime. But this is not a lot of timing. This is, one a roll, maybe two. Which is, something, but it's not a lot.
Okay.
Okay. Enough with that. Okay, so let's get into, I wanted to get into some checker play positions regarding priming. So we'll do a few here and then a couple more. Next time will be our last session, and then we'll get back to the masterclass book. But we want to do some oh, this is the wrong one. I'll do this one first. And then we'll get back to the book on I think it's back games. So but in any case, here's some checker plays regarding primes. And so what do we think is the right play here?
Make the bar point.
9-2.
Charlie, you say 9-2?
9-2.
Oh,
And Ray, you want to make the bar point?
yeah, I was thinking of hitting, but you've got no direct cover.
Well, I would say make the 7 point. You want to contain them.
Yeah.
You could hit loose.
Yeah, because white's losing the race, you probably need to hit would be my thought.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is a question of game plan, and this is not really covered in the masterclass book, but there are a couple of things. One of the reasons of looking at if you look at it from the three-factor model that we talked about, and this is for cubes, but it also helps in this situation to answer, well, what's our game plan? What's our best game plan really here? So we can make the bar point. And if you make the bar point, okay, you've got a 5 prime, so you're better off with the 5 prime than black's 4 prime, clearly. So that's goes to making the prime. However, you still have 3 checkers back versus 1 checker back. So that's not great for priming, because you've got to escape all your checkers. And then in terms of timing, what's the timing look like? Well, black is going to have an advantage on the timing. He's got 2 checkers back here to bring in, and they're farther away than these two. Now, if we get out, we have much more time, but we need a lot more time because we've got to get out with 1, bring it around and so on. So that would be that. Now, if we hit, well, first of all, before that, there's one tool that applies here. We've talked about it. I've talked about it a little bit. Wasn't really in any of the books, but and that's the bold versus safe criteria that McGrill came up with. And if you remember what that is, it's you're going to play more boldly if you have the better board, which we do here, but it's a lot better board. You're also going to play more boldly if you're behind in the race, and we are behind in the race here. And you'll play more boldly if you have an anchor, and we have an anchor here. So, does this? So the game plan here would be attacking, hitting. So one way to look at it is, okay, would you rather be in this situation where, okay, if black comes in with the 2, that's not so great, but you still have a 4 prime, you still have an anchor, or this one, when black has a 6 to get out and basically, win the game. Yeah. So the answer here is hitting. The game plan here is hitting, and that sort of another thing that I haven't really talked about is the transition from for priming is into an attacking game and hitting it, particularly if you're with a single checker back. You're going to convert your prime into an attacking position and put your opponent on the bar, unless of course your opponent is anchored. But against a single checker back, you really have to contain it. You have to hit it for the most part, because it's too easy for him to come up with a number that comes out. And even in this case, just a 6. He's got a number of rolls to get a 6. Okay. This same position, 1 or 2 rolls later, leads you to this. And so what's the right play here?
Seems like it's the same.
Well, the ideas are the same, but what do you mean by the same? Oh, Michael.
Well, bold versus safe indicates that. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the roll. I thought it was 4-3. I don't know why. Okay, I have to rethink it now. I guess you could switch, possibly.
Yeah. Well, switching. Okay, so we have the same sort of dilemma. What's the best game plan in this situation? And so is it going to be priming or attacking? Because that's kind of our choice here. So we went the previous play, we went for the prime. Black didn't get a 6, but brought another checker in. Now, should we keep the prime? Because we can switch point. If we can go 4-2, put black on the bar. Or we can play safely, bringing in 9, 9-7, 9-3, or something like that. And so do we want to have black on the bar against the 4-point board, or do we want to have the 5 prime in front?
That 5 prime's pretty strong. I think I'd keep the prime.
Yeah.
I'd put black on the bar.
Yeah. Well, this is the same kind of as last time, in that we're looking at what's the best game plan, and with a single checker back, and now our timing is even less than what it was before. So this is the non-hitting play. What's the non-hitting
That
play?
was a blunder.
Yeah, the
A
non-hitting play is really bad. And
Wow.
again, the prior play where we had even more timing, it was wrong to make the 5 prime. Here, it's even more wrong to keep the 5 prime and not attack when we have the chance. And so, hitting puts black on the bar. We still have a prime. It's now a broken prime, but it's still a prime. And we're converting to attacking. We can either come out. There's now a blot here to hit. That's the game plan, I guess. This is a little more complex subject in that when you're converting from a priming strategy to an attacking strategy. But the ideas are the same here. We don't really have the time. Well, we have 3 checkers back versus 1, and so that's a big disadvantage for us, even though we do have the better prime. And we're about out of timing here. We pretty much used the end of it, whereas black has more time. He's got a checker back here. He's got these in here to go short, and he needs the 6 to get out. So that just should tell us that, okay, our game plan is not priming, it's going to be attacking here, mostly because we have the better board.
Can you test it if white had only 2 checkers back?
Yeah, so if white has 2 checkers back, and
Can't hit, of course, yeah.
so now the prime is better. We still have the disadvantage in that we've got 2
That's
versus
a
1.
smaller disadvantage.
It is a smaller disadvantage, yes.
Actually, Gary, can you put that white the other side, so on the 11 points, so he doesn't have a hitting option? Try that one.
Yeah, so well, yeah, there's no, yeah. So we've done 2 things. We got 2 checkers behind the prime instead of 3. So we picked up a big advantage there. We've also added some timing with the extra checker. So that helps on that side. It's still 1 checker back versus 2. My guess is probably the point switch is still better. I still think that's attacking here.
You've also caught up in the race.
Let's see. Yeah, so it's still attacking. Yeah, but that's another point. But that also well, yeah, I guess that helps. So black, if black comes out with black comes out with the 6, was up so far in the race that that's probably the market loser there. But here, okay, so it's still right to hit. Not hitting, which is gets displayed, and these are big blunders not to hit here. So, and it didn't really matter where, as long as it's the point switch that's important, and where the other checker comes is not so much important. Although this is not, switching from the 6 is not ideal, because you also give up your priming abilities completely. It becomes with a 6. Okay. Anyway, these are very difficult plays to make, or to see and to figure out, but and you've got to pull out a lot of things from your tool bag, but including the 3-factor model in terms of evaluating your prime gives you some help, gives you some hope that you'll come up with the right ones. Otherwise, it's very difficult to see these. Normally a 5 prime is such a strong position that it's overwhelmingly the right thing to do and to maintain. But we've just seen a few situations where it's not. So it's good to know about those. Okay, final topic on priming for today, and this is completely different. But I have 2 examples, and this actually has to do with containment and priming. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because it's a very simple rule here for situations of containment, and that is don't slot the back of a 4 prime, slot the back of a 5 prime. So here we could slot the back, and again, so we had a late hit, black's on the bar. Do we want to slot the 8 point? Or do something else? And so I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but so the answer is don't slot the back of the 4 prime. It's do something else. Generally, you're going to want to flood the outfield in case black comes in and out so that you can put him back in. But don't slot the back of the 4 prime. Basically, the rule for that one.
Is that just because the likelihood of being hit is too high?
Yeah, there's just a lot of rolls that come in and get you hit. So here, if you slot that, it's a 2, 6, 3, 5, which doesn't sound like a lot of rolls, but it's enough. But even if you come in and then you can't make your 5 prime.
If he comes in and hits you and you don't re-hit him, then might pick up another checker. You could lose the game by having slotted behind that prime.
Yeah, you can get gammoned or even backgammon. I mean, this says you could even get backgammoned if black comes in and hits you, maybe you dance or you come in and can't hit back. You got all these blots hanging around, you got 3 checkers back. Lots of nasty things could happen. So don't slot the back of the 5 prime. Okay. All right. If I don't slot the back of a 4 prime. Next example, again, the rule is from these is slot the back of a 5 prime, not the 4 prime. So what are we going to play here?
15 to 8.
Yeah, 15 to 8. And and that gives you could move 12 to 8 and come back 13 to 10 or even come out. But 15 to 8 gives you 2 covers to make it, and you really want to make the 6 prime here. That's why that's more important. This one gives you a direct cover and an indirect cover. It's not terrible, but obviously 2 covers is better. And then not making the prime is bad. You don't want to break out here. Gives black some jokers, double 1s and double 2s. In addition to 2, 6. So that's something else. But the main idea here is slot the back of the 5 prime. Final example for today. So I've said slot the back of the 5 prime, but what about if black is on the edge? Do you still slot it?
I think you do. And the reason I say that is because I had like a 400 error in a game where I didn't do that. It was the only thing I could.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't roll, and then what I was thinking after looking at it is, there's 25 rolls that don't roll a 6, and then you're probably going to win.
Yeah. The answer is slot the back of the 5 prime, even when there's a direct shot, and it's a blunder not to do that. So I would this is, I think, a simple rule: slot the back of the 5 prime, in containment situations. I should say that unless if you could hit, you would probably want to hit. So if your checker was here, no, 7 here, you would hit. But otherwise, it's slot the back of the prime. Just because you need to make that prime, and you need to contain, you need to make the prime, and it's worth the risk of not getting it, of black coming out and hitting you. and so forth. So anyway, that's a simple rule. It's worth remembering. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but it's a good thing to keep in mind in the containment situations. Okay, that is it for the lesson.